Alex, what's up, bud?
Oh, not too much. Trying to stay cool. It appears we got a second wave of summer coming in at the beginning of October. So, yeah, got the AC going again, and I mean, can't complain. It's nice. Leaves are going, and it's nice to sort of wear a t-shirt in the fall. So, what about you?
Oh no, same thing. You said the second wave of summer. I feel like this is the first wave of summer.
Yeah,
I
could be
feel
the
like
first wave. I think it's
August
like
was like 18 to 22 or something.
yeah, and I think
Now,
it's like 29 today.
yeah,
So
and over 30 with humidity. So yeah, I was going to close up the pool, but we're keeping the pool open longer.
nice.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited. That actually reminds me though, I gotta crank that heater on, or the kids are gonna be upset when they get back later.
No, yeah.
All right, you got some news for us before we get into the stats?
Yeah, we can. I'll just be a little quick here. Latest inflation data came in at 4%. So that sort of shocked everybody because we did see a little bit of a downturn in the previous months for July and June. So that was a bit of a turning point. And there are also some economists arguing that we are already in a recession and we are just waiting for the Q3 data for GDP. So stay tuned for that. I believe that should come out sometime in October or November. But watch for Stats Canada to release that to say whether or not we are officially in a recession or not. I've been seeing of a lot of videos online of people lining up for jobs. I don't know if you've been seeing them as well, but sort of in different malls, like the Body Shop sort of thing. And there's videos of just probably 300 or 400 applicants around the corners of the mall looking for jobs. So I don't know if that's sort of captured in the data or if it's more anecdotal stories, but definitely be interesting to see what happens in Q3 in terms of that GDP number.
Yeah, I know, like, not to get into it, I'm not, I guess, extremely informed in this area, but there's also that whole idea that there's a lot of sectors that are having trouble hiring.
Yeah.
So there's jobs out there, and I said a lot of sectors that can't hire, but the unemployment's gone up. So I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but there's the black market economy where people on EI working for cash and things like that. So, but I don't know, when you talk about a recession, it seems like the worst kept secret. It feels like a recession out there, as we've mentioned before. We see it at the gas pumps and the grocery stores, and some people are hurting out there.
Yeah, gas pump official, especially, it sort of feels like $1.50 is a good deal for gas these days, and you see people lined up at the pump when it is $1.50, and I'm definitely one of those people. So,
Yeah. You're going to become a walker.
Yeah,
It goes up anymore.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the stats here.
Yeah, so there we have it. Year over year, we did see an increase in the average sale price, an increase in the number of new listings, and then two declines in the number of sales. Not a huge decline there. You could probably say year over year, it's pretty much the same. But a decrease in the average number of days to sell year over year by about 20%. So that was pretty surprising. Definitely a lot more new listings. That went up 13% year over year. And yeah, 6% gain year over year in the average price.
Yeah, the only one that jumps out, I guess, is the days to sell. And that could be, this time last year, we had already had 5 of the 7 rate hikes, and buyers are on the sidelines. So explain some of it, but for the most part, as we get through these stats, there's a lot of parallels between the months year over year.
Yeah, so there you have sort of the average sale price. It looks pretty much like we've had a bit of a sideways move really since last summer. You can sort of see, okay, we had a little bit of an uptick at the start of this year, but we've sort of declined and kind of just moving sideways. And I think we'll continue to see that, honestly. I think we'll just start seeing more of sideways moves as opposed to these gigantic up and downs that we've been seeing in the last, 3 years.
Yeah, you can see it better here.
Yeah, so there's your average price. It was $616 last September, and we're up to $657. And we actually saw a $13K increase month over month as well. So something to watch there. I definitely think it's just an increase in, fall activity. I can definitely speak anecdotally. I think you can as well. Buyers seem to be back. Yeah, I had 3-4 messages this week of people just saying, "Hey, ready to enter the market, looking for a home," and they were sort of on the sidelines for June, July, and a little bit of August, and definitely September as well. So I think it's just that seasonality of the market, and I think we will continue to see that trend as opposed to these crazy up and downs, like I was sort of saying, in 21 and 22, especially during later 21 and earlier 22.
Yeah, this year, we've said it before, even though there's a lot going on, at surface level, it seems like a traditional year because we had an increase in the spring market, like a traditional spring market, and now it's appearing like we're going to have a bit of a fall market. It was a little sluggish. I feel like it took about till the third week of September, so I think we'll really see it in the numbers for October.
Yeah, for sure. And there's your new listings. They're up month over month. But you can see the 2 data points there. It's the exact same as it was in July. So interesting to see there. Definitely seeing a lot more people come to market and not as many sales as there are people coming to market. We'll sort of show that in another stat. But overall, I'm seeing a lot of new listings. I'm seeing a lot of people coming to the market as sellers, and buyer activity seems to be down because there does seem to be a lot to choose from. Now, yes, there are maybe more people anecdotally looking for homes, but there's just a lot more inventory out there for those buyers to choose from.
Yeah, I can see it here. So 201, that's a decent jump.
Yeah. So another thing to note about these stats, we recently switched real estate boards. So some of these stats might be skewed compared to the PCAR stats that we've been, pulling in our recent market updates. So just something to note there. Some of these stats might be a little bit different because we're still in the process of transferring over the data, but we really wanted to get these stats out to you guys just so you could sort of keep a pulse on what's happening.
Yeah, so what's happening is, well, the merger was with Durham, Quinte, our board, PCAR, and Kawartha Lakes. So those 4 boards come together to form CLAR, and then we have a share agreement with Toronto. So we're not part of Toronto, but we have a share agreement with Toronto. But the only thing that's happening right now is the data is almost in 2 different systems, and we're mid-migration. So Alex, being the guy he is, did his due diligence to double check. So these numbers are pretty close, but we're mid-migration. So
yeah, so some of those new listing numbers might be off. So just keep in mind, keep that in mind when we're looking at them. But there was an increase month over month, and I can definitely attest to that anecdotally. A lot of people seem to come to the market in September, whereas August was a little bit slower. Number of sales, you can see it went down there month over month. So you can sort of see the seasonality of that as well with the line graph. So we saw a slight decline month over month there for number of sales. Again, number of listings jumping out. Anecdotally, there are more buyers that are interested in purchasing properties, but again, it's really tough right now. You're at a 6.5%, 6.2% for your fixed rate mortgage. So, the cost of money is not cheap. And unfortunately, I don't think house prices have sort of caught up with the interest rate increases, both fixed and variable. And we're sort of just waiting for that to happen. So it is really tough if you are a first-time buyer right now. What we're seeing is a lot of people trading. So, maybe you're an empty nester sort of thing and you're looking to downsize. That's where we'll see a lot of the transactions happening with people that already have equity in their house, because they don't necessarily need as large a mortgage, because the income qualification requirements for those large enough mortgages to purchase, your $650,000 house, it's really tough right now.
Yeah, and a lot of those people bought, in the 80s and 90s, they bought for like $100K, and now their house is worth 600, 700, 800.
Yeah.
So they're equity rich, so they can do that. But the problem is people coming to the market. Yeah, that's a big jump for first-time home buyer when the average home in our market is around 650. But if you're in the Durham area, it's probably closer to 859, and then let's not even talk about Toronto.
Yeah. So yeah, there's sort of the decline there, pretty similar to last year, with 86 sales, and again, pretty similar to July. I'm definitely interested to see what happens in October, but we definitely saw a slight decrease in the number of sales for August to September.
Yeah, and that's, if you compare that stat to the new listings of 201, that shows you how much variety the buyers have, and it seems like a buyer's market out there right now.
Yeah. So that's, quick math, that's around 116 listings, that didn't sell over the month compared to what was listed. So that leaves 116 listings for buyers to shop around with, plus the new inventory that comes in October. And there you have it. There's sort of the gap there. Now, unfortunately, the new board does not offer active listings, which is that difference between new listings and sales at the end of the month. So it doesn't offer that data, but what we can look at is new listings versus sales. And you can see, the green bar being new listings and the blue bar being sales. There looks to be a larger gap between those two numbers in September compared to August.
Yeah, and if active was also included, so that would be spillover from the previous month, that green bar would be even higher.
Yeah.
And the blue would be the same. So yeah, a lot of options out there for buyers.
Yeah, so there's the numbers there. Really similar to the July 2023 with 201 new listings and 84 sales in July compared to 201 new listings and 86 sales in September. So yeah, pretty similar market statistically, July and September of this year.
The buyers deserve this after they were beat up, during the seller's market with, 30 offers on property. So if it was a Star Wars title, this would be the buyer strike back.
Yeah. And that's honestly, it's great right now for buyers, especially if you can qualify, or you have some equity. At least you've got the ability to shop around. You're not going 100K over list unconditional anymore. You do really have the option to shop around, which is so much nicer for buyers. It's just, you're going to be spending $650,000 on a home. You should have the ability to shop around. Yeah,
and that's the double-edged sword we got, though. There's more options, and buyers, have a little bit more control. They can get conditions in and all of this, but because of the rates are so high, their spending power is down, and people are priced out of the market. Some are priced at a lower point than what they're looking for, so that could also explain the lower sales.
And days to sell relatively trending flat over the last 3 months. We're sitting at around 3 weeks to sell. That seems to be pretty common. It has been flat actually over the last 3 months. There have been some people holding offers, pricing low and holding offers. So that could bring the days to sell and drag it down a bit. But generally, you are seeing about 3 weeks to sell. And again, this is for freehold residential in the city of Peterborough.
It's 3 blackjacks in a row.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, I'd say it's at most maybe 10% or even holding. It's got to be the right property in the right market. And another thing maybe contributing to stuff not selling is sellers are still pricing a bit too high.
Yeah, and I can't blame the sellers when some of the comps are your neighbor sold back in February, or they sold back in the spring when fixed rates were a little bit lower and the bond yields weren't above 4. They were able to get a higher price for their home. So you might have seen a 680, but because the cost of borrowing's gone up and buyer demand has sort of gone down because that cost of borrowing's gone up, it's maybe you're a 620 sort of thing as a neighbor, even though your neighbor sold for 670, 680 back in the spring.
I always tell my clients that's just a bad mindset. If you're looking at the peak from March of last year, where the average house was just over 800K, it could be years before we reach that again. 2, 3, or 4 years, and it was just an anomaly. A lot of different variables contributed to that, and some people hit it at the high, which is great. But the important thing I like to remind them is, especially the ones that have had their property for a while, I was like, you're mortgage free. You got a very small mortgage. yeah, you didn't get the peak, but property values have gone up a lot in the last 10 years. You're still sitting pretty, and
Yeah,
obviously if you're buying and selling in the same market too,
absolutely. Yeah. And always ask yourself, why do I want to move? Does it make sense to take this on right now for your situation? And at the end of the day, if you really do want to move.
Exactly. Oh, my favorites.
Yeah, so this is kind of neat. What I wanted to do was sort of compare the price distribution graph for August and September. So you can sort of see the way that it peaks. It's sort of neat. There were a lot more low-end sales in September. That's those sales that are under 500,000. You can see the big difference there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were homes that sold between 650 and 7. Those saw a slight increase month over month. And the homes that sold over 800,000, a huge increase there month over month.
Yeah, we were talking last month about those the drop in sales in that like 500, 600 range. And that's where a lot of the investment properties are. And for the better part of half a decade, Peterborough's gotten a lot of attention from out-of-town investors because we got the university, we got the college. The rents were very close to the Durham rents, but our purchase prices were low, so we were one of the best investment towns. So it looked like with the financing going up, a lot of these investor types just weren't getting the money together, and we saw a lot of good-looking investment properties sitting, which they normally get scooped up, they'd hold, they'd be gone, scooped up in days, and now some of them are sitting for like 3, 4, 5 weeks. And I just think, and then the numbers and the cap rates are good. Why aren't they moving? Last month, the dog days of summer, people are doing things as well, but also, just getting that financing together. I know I've seen it with my investor types. They're having trouble. They're jumping through a lot more hoops to get that money. But we're going to bounce back a little bit. It looks like in September.
Yeah, and what's neat to see here too is the homes that are priced between 6 and 650. That seems to be the least desirable product on the market, both in August and September. I think there were only around 7 sales both months. So it's neat to see that sort of price range does not seem to be moving for some reason. We do see it in lower, and then we do see it higher too. So yeah, it's just neat to look at the graph and see sort of what type of product seems to be moving in this market. So there's some stats for you there, just the percentage of listings that sold. So there was a big increase there, about a 5% increase in homes that sold under 500,000. And then there was a slight decrease in both homes that sold between 550 and 6 and homes that sold over 700,000. So yes, we saw a bigger increase in the homes that sold above 800,000. So that sort of final product for most buyers, where your forever home might be that above $800,000 home. But the $700,000 homes seem to have less demand this month compared to last month, and that's sort of what brought that above 700,000 percentage down month over month.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd be curious, since we're seeing a lot more activity at above 700, 800. My guess is a lot of those are out-of-towners coming in here that sold, in places like Durham, Toronto, and coming here. Because as we mentioned, it's really difficult for new buyers to get into the market, especially locally. So you're not going to jump into an $800,000-$900,000 house, right?
Yeah.
So if it's not first and it's not downsizers, it's either people upscaling or out-of-towners.
Yeah. So tip of the month, talk to me a little bit about property pricing here, Dave. So how are sellers pricing their properties, and sort of what can buyers expect to pay? Are we expected to shoot way over list? Are you expected, are people listing at what they want right now, sort of thing? What are you sort of seeing in the market, and what tips would you give to a buyer?
Well, I say you have to price to the market you're in. So, early last year, when it was a crazy seller's market, a lot of places were holding. So when you hold, you price low, drum up some extra, competition, and you hold for a week. And obviously, but we're in more of a balanced to buyer's market right now. And as we mentioned, the buyers have more choice. So what you don't want to do is overprice in this market. You got to look at the information, what's selling, and you got to price appropriately. Maybe you have a range in mind. Maybe go to the top of that range of the realistic price point, because what's going to kill you in this market is when you sit. If you sit for 3-4 weeks, it's like blood in the water for buyers, and the chances of you getting an overlist price it diminishes, and then you'll have to price correct. And then when they see you sitting, and then you also price correct, they're going to come in even lower. Your best strategy for this market is to price appropriately. Move your property quick. I'm not saying price low, but price appropriately, because there's a lot of people, as we mentioned earlier, are pricing like it was 6 months ago, and you just can't do that. But the information is out there, and what we're looking at the stats, most properties are selling about 95% of list price. So what you don't want to do is say, yeah, it's worth 700, but why don't we test it, for 750, something for a month, and then that could really hurt you, as opposed to going in at the proper price and moving your property quick. Because if you sit, good chance you're going to get lower than you would have if you priced properly in the first place. I guess short way of saying, just price to the market what the value is right now in this kind of market if you want to move your property.
Yeah. And then for a buyer, there are still properties holding offers. So if it does look like it's a crazy good deal, like if you see a 4-bedroom in the North End priced at $299 or something, they are most likely holding offers, or the property's in awful disrepair. But definitely reach out to a realtor and see if they are holding offers, so you can sort of prepare yourself for that, and even decide if you want to enter a bidding war, or if you just want to wait for something that isn't holding offers. And fortunately, right now, we do sort of have the luxury to do that as a buyer. And I think that, that trend will continue. I think we will continue to see people listing their homes and see sales sort of stay the same. And I think there will be a lot more inventory for buyers to choose from. I don't have a crystal ball, but, over the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah. And the ones that are holding, again, it's that price point. You don't see a lot of holding, maybe even above 500. Most of them are those really, like a 450 house listing at $399 or something like that. But you're not seeing much holding when you get above 6.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got for us?
Well, I've got the deal of the month here, 171 Rubidge Street. Before we get into this, look at that handsome fella down there. So this is my listing. I'll sort of go through what it says here. So this is an investment property. It's a vacant 5-unit multiplex with a potential 7% cap rate. So the way that we sort of calculated that was based on the gross market rent of around $5,000. So 5 separate units. We sort of determined around $850 for 4 of the units and around $16 for the bottom unit. And the reason that we determined that for market rent was because of the layout of the units. So you can sort of see in these pictures here, this is the unit on the main floor. There's your entrance there. You go up the stairs here to the other 4 units. But this unit on the main floor has access to the outdoors. You've got a living room here. You've got your kitchen just through that doorway there. And then there's a bedroom and a bathroom. So this is sort of your full unit. And those tend to rent right now for, around 16 to 18. I think it's pretty comfortable to say 18. And then here are the floor plans for the other units. So all of the other units have this sort of layout where there's a bedroom and a full kitchen here. So they have both a bedroom and a full kitchen. And then the 4 units share this bathroom at the end of the hall. So only unit 1 has their own bathroom, and the other units all share this bathroom on the second floor. So yes, that does sort of decrease your market rent a little bit, but I do think that you could comfortably get $850 for the bedroom and the kitchen, because we're seeing bedrooms rent for, crazy right now, easily, $800 to $900 most of the time per bedroom. I sort of run numbers at $700, and that's just with a bedroom, not with the kitchen included. So we sort of thought that if the kitchen was included, you'd probably be able to get $850 pretty comfortably. So with that being said, the utilities, insurance, and property tax. So the expenses for last year came in at about 14,570. So what you do is you take this number, which is the annual gross rent of 60,000. You subtract 14,570, which is the landlord expenses, and then you divide that number by the listed price, which gives you about a 6.9% cap rate. So that's sort of how we arrived at the cap rate. Again, the cap rate is sort of a way you can compare this investment to other investments. It's sort of like a rate of return. So if you can get, right now GICs are pretty popular. So if you can get 4.5% in a GIC, you're guaranteed that GIC to get 4.5% return, whereas this investment gives you a 7% return. And again, these are all low end estimates for the rent. You could probably get more, but I wanted to give you sort of a conservative analysis of the property. And then another thing to note is the utilities. You could transfer that to a new tenant because you'll be able to set your own market rents with your own leases. So you could transfer the utility payment, which was around $8,000 last year. You could transfer that to the tenants, have them pay their own utilities, and that would sort of knock this down to around $6,000 a year as opposed to $14,000 a year. So that would totally boost your cap rate as well.
Yeah, that dorm style would be great for students. And the thing to note is this location, it's kind of in between the college and the university, right?
Yeah, so it would honestly work for either college or Trent University students, because it is sort of right downtown. You can sort of see it here if it loads. So you're sort of right central downtown. There's your little lake there, and there's the university up here, and the college is over here. So yeah, it's sort of equal distance. If you go down Sherbrooke, catch a bus there, you can go to Fleming, or you go up George Street here, Water Street, and then you end up at Trent here. So it would work for both students.
Yeah. And students like these where it's walking distance to downtown. So there's a lot of students don't need cars.
Absolutely.
They walk to downtown, and as you said, quickly catch a bus to either the college or the university.
Yeah, and there's your downtown core there with a little bit down here as well. So easy walking distance to those. Yeah, I think it's a great investment property. At a 7% cap, it's really tough to find those here in Peterborough right now. So yeah, I think it's a fantastic investment. If you have any questions about that, or you'd like to see a pro forma, just reach out to myself or Dave. We'll put our contact info down below.
Awesome. That's a good one, man.
Yeah,
I'm sure that'll move pretty quick.
Yeah.
Especially as the buyers start coming back and those investors start sniffing around up here.
Yeah, I do. I honestly think it's a great investment property. Like, I don't think you could see a lot of 7 caps in Peterborough. So, I think it's a great opportunity for somebody.
And last, I'd be remiss to not ask you, how's wedding planning? Isn't that the big days coming up?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, that's coming up next Saturday. So that would be Saturday, October 14th. Getting married, and luckily, she's been planning most of it, so that keeps things a little bit easy. But it's going well. Super excited for that. And then we're heading to Mexico for about a week. So excited for that as well. It's crazy just how fast time has gone by over the last couple of weeks, and I'm sure the next 10 days are going to go by pretty fast as well. Yeah,
all I can say is on your wedding day, just take the time to soak it up, because it's going to go quick.
Yeah,
I'm excited for you.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks for putting everything together. Love doing these with you.
Absolutely, me too.
I'm excited. I got an hour-long speech ready for your wedding.
Perfect.
I know I wasn't asked to do one, but I'm ready.
Perfect. And I got the Macarena set for the playlist for the DJ. So
yeah, for those that didn't notice, when I got my invitation, I requested what they do not play.
Yeah, I think the chicken dance was on there too, and I definitely requested that as well.
Yeah, so we weren't on the same page there. This partnership almost ended over the chicken dance.
Yeah, you can mention it in the speech.
All right, that's awesome. Well, you enjoy this wonderful weather, and I'll catch you on the next one, bud.
You too, brother. Thanks for your time today and for all your input. Appreciate it. That's all, folks. Take care. We'll see you next time.